So we are Sentient. I'm JB, I'm the vocalist.
I am one Tom, I am guitarist.
I'm other Tom, I'm on bass.
And we have a drummer who's called Ricky, but he couldn't be there this evening. His back was hurting from carrying the band too much. I guess the band itself formed back in 2018, where our drummer Rick put a post up on the illustrious joinmyband.com. And I reached out to him to set up a bit of a jam. I think at the time it was along the lines of kind of Lamb of God, Machine Head, Meshuggah kind of stuff. And again, this was a couple of members ago. There was a bit of animosity because I didn't message him back for the first couple of weeks. So he just kind of assumed that I'd ghosted him. But then eventually turned up in the practice room one day and just kind of started making music from there. So they had already had a couple of songs almost done, and then just worked from there really. But again, that was a couple of guitarists. Well, a guitarist and two bassists ago. So, and when did you guys?
So I joined in 21. I think.
It's been a while now.
Yeah, 21. I think I joined after previous guitarist left. You guys hit me up, learnt a few songs, and jumped in. It was pretty smooth, actually. We all gelled pretty well, I think.
Yeah, we had seen him play in another local band, and he seemed like he had, what it took. So we poached him pretty heavily. So
yeah. And we've recently acquired Tom number 2.
Another Tom.
Yeah. So I joined last year. So I was already a fan of Sentient. I'd seen him win Metal to the Masses, and actually on the Heavy Spaghetti EP cover, I'm actually on it.
Yeah, if you zoom in.
I'm in the pit, in the crowd, for that album EP cover. And funnily enough, Ricky isn't on it. So just drummer things, I guess.
Yeah.
It was fate then, wasn't it, really?
I guess so.
It was meant to be.
I just turned up so often that I ended up in the band.
Cool. So you'd actually seen the performance then at Metal to the Masses?
Yeah, I was there every week for it.
Wow, fantastic. And you ended up being in the band. How mad is that?
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
We actually put out a raffle for all fans to drop it.
So I know you've been going for a few years now, and we've got a couple of EPs in the bag, haven't we? So, let's talk about music. Let's talk about what you've produced so far, what performances you've done that you've stuck out for you.
We've got technically 3 EPs, I suppose, but the first one I think is
it's only available on CD, which I still have about 500 of in my car.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
People when you get the chance.
Yeah, that's it. They just kind of, if you turn up, you kind of get one.
Yeah,
basically. But again, that features 2 members who aren't in the band anymore, so that's why we don't typically tend to promote it. It was good for where we started off, but it's not really representative of where we're at now as a band, especially with the guys here. So that's why
you move on, don't you?
Exactly. That's how it is.
And in terms of like performances that you've done, and because the Metal to the Masses thing that's a big deal.
Yeah, that was banging. That was we really enjoyed that, and the final that's probably one of my favourite shows we've done. I reckon that was the crowd really went off, and then on to Bloodstock after, obviously where we met you guys. It was just crazy. It was really great performances, and we've had some good ones since then as well. But I think that still holds a special place in my heart.
Yeah, most definitely. Like I said, the crowd just kind of went off and just seemed everyone was kind of behind us at the time. And it was very good fun.
It's good to get that support, isn't it, from a crowd like that at Bloodstock? I mean, was it the biggest crowd you've seen, or?
I think so, yeah.
It was definitely the biggest venue that we played. So it definitely had the capacity to have the biggest. But the tent was like pretty full. I guess the only downside was that it happened to be really sunny at the time we were playing. I was hoping it would absolutely hammer it down. So people were forced to come inside. But even in that sense, it had had a really good response. So that was really good. That was great.
Want to put on your CV? We have played Bloodstock.
No, definitely.
We always do. We always chuck it in there whenever we can fly it in there. Always do.
But even off the back of that as well, we've had some really good shows. So we played at the Dev in London, up in Cambridge as well with Tom, and had a really good response from those as well. Like hearing people kind of like sing some of the bits like Back to You as well, like it's just the one song that people kind of do it to, but it does mean a lot.
One's better than none.
One is better than none.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you've clearly got I mean, after so many years, you've clearly got fans. You know, people who follow your work, follow you around performance-wise, and what's your interaction with them like?
Stay clear away or get them to join the band. No, it's good to kind of speak to people and just see that it actually kind of resonates. Like some people are happy with the kind of shit that we're doing, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we definitely. I mean, like Tom said, he was a fan beforehand, and like we had chats together and that about just music and that, and it was always really positive, and especially everyone in the local scene is very supportive. Everyone's friends, and you all support each other. And then when we go to like a show and we turn a few heads and we get a few new fans and they come up and like, oh, that was really, really great. Like we played in Wellingborough.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Wellingborough on Saturday. And we had a bunch of people there. We weren't really sure how it was going to go down. I mean, you're never 100% sure, especially in a new place or semi-new.
Yes, we played there before as a guest headliner as one of their Metal to the Masses. So again, we'd never kind of played up there before, stepped in as one of the headliners, and then to come back to play at one of these gigs and see people turning out who we had seen there before.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously kind of repeat offenders was obviously like, was great fun to see.
Yeah, and like so, turn a few heads, get a few people come up to you afterwards and be like, "That was awesome. Can we buy a T-shirt? Can I get you a beer?"
Definitely
great. Yeah,
It's always nice.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've got a new EP, but you told me it was your second EP.
there is currently. I forget actually. So we had the first one. This was before I was in the band, but that's only on CD now. There is the one we did 2 years ago.
So 2023?
Yeah, 23.
Heavy Spaghetti.
So Sentient is Dead first.
Yeah, and then Heavy Spaghetti is the one I forget. Right. It's like the in-between one.
So we had...
Is it?
Yeah. I don't know how.
I don't know how.
So Sentient is Dead was kind of like the first proper release, I guess, that we went to put together. And then it didn't feature some of the songs that we were playing live at the time. So the Heavy Spaghetti EP was to kind of mop up the ones that we were playing live and just put them out in a recorded fashion. So this next one that is coming out was originally supposed to be a bit of a two-parter with Sentient is Dead. So this is Long Live Sentient, which is we're hoping to have out early April, I believe.
4th of April, I believe, is the date. And it's probably the most ambitious thing we've done. All recorded by... Rick, mostly. Rick is the driving force, 100%.
He is the abbot.
Recorded, mixed, mastered, and he did live drums on this one as well. All himself.
God.
Yeah.
Well, so it's the most adventurous thing you've done so far. Mm-hmm. Tell me about that. Why is it the most adventurous? What's different?
I think on the production side, it's that, it's just everything is as live as it can possibly be. Minimal to no editing on stuff, and Rick has just really smashed it out. He spent a lot of time producing everything, and I think just song wise as well, we spent a lot of time going back and forth over the songs, really trying to make sure they are as good as they can be. And it's probably the heaviest thing we've done.
It's pretty brutal and pretty relentless, from start to finish.
Pretty much, yeah. You get, there's a little bit of a short track where you can take a breath, but everything else is just in your face. Yeah,
one interlude track.
Yeah,
that's all you get.
One interlude. 5 tracks of absolute just annihilation.
I think, like in every aspect, it's like as Tom was saying, the production and the songwriting, every aspect has just stepped up from the previous stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like really, really, like gassed for it and to be playing on it as well.
Fantastic. So that's coming out in April.
Mm-hmm.
So how many tracks are on there?
6, and one of them is like 1.5 to 2 minute sort of interlude. So yeah, 5 full tracks plus an interlude, 6 overall.
Are you working up to an album? Because I guess you've got enough. You must have enough tracks for an album, right?
I think that's the next step. Yeah, I think Rick, being relentless as he is, I think he's already got 7 or 8 demoed already for the next one. So yeah, we're looking to do an album, I think, in a year or two, hopefully.
Something like that. I think I remember it was a conversation I was having with him and the guys as well, maybe a little while ago, where sometimes though with an album you want it to be all killer, no filler. So it is a case of potentially, instead of doing 10 songs where some of them maybe aren't as, I don't know how to put it. You want like more of a condensed thing that you can put out more often. So releasing 6 songs that absolutely smash it out the park more often than releasing like 10 songs every other year, where some is like a bit like not really up to par and you're just putting it on to fill out a track listing. That's, I think, maybe a conversation that we have. But again, we have the tracks now to do it. So it's definitely something that we can work towards.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. I mean, how long is your set when you go up on stage? I mean, what we're talking about, half an hour, an hour?
I think on average will be half an hour, but we can probably pull out 45 minutes, possibly an hour, but obviously we have to learn a bit more material. But
we do throw in a lot of Korn and Pantera covers.
Yeah, we do like to occasional little snippet here and there. That's fun. But yeah, generally I'd say it's half hour, but we could stretch it out if we had to. Yeah.
Promotion for this EP. Are you going on tour, or are you playing any special gigs, or what are you doing?
Speaking to you.
Okay.
How much bigger can you get?
Yeah. I think we tried to, again, it's all very like DIY in terms of the actual making it ourselves and then pushing it as much as we can ourselves. We obviously are speaking to people like yourselves and then pushing it to as many kind of reviewers, promoters as possible to get some shows booked in. I think we've got a couple more in the calendar, and then literally around when it comes out, just looking to smash as many gigs as possible, really. So
I mean, a tour would be great, but obviously with everyone working and that, you got to sort out holidays and things like that. But
real grown up,
maybe I think like a weekender is certainly something we could look at. Maybe 1 or 2 weekenders this year would be great fun. Hit like a certain area for like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, head home after that. That'd be great. But yeah,
that's a great idea.
Sentient Sundays.
Hey, I like that.
We've got a quite a big one on the 11th of April, supporting Chrysler, and we're kind of treating that kind of as the album launch party.
Yeah.
So
there's another band that's playing that night that's we're quite fond of as well.
There is my other band, Jackal's Backbone, are opening. So
if you haven't, I'll go check them out as well, because they are.
That's a coincidence, isn't it?
I'm pulling a split shift on that day.
Yeah. Taking all your stuff, all your guitars.
Yeah. Logging it all there, yeah. But yeah, really looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing lineup. Club 85 in Hitchin. Be there.
Yeah, the hometown show.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool, nice. Okay. So, bit of a sort of vague question now. I'm not expecting anything, I don't know what I'm expecting from this really, but what's your favourite thing that you've created or done? What's your favourite thing?
My bass tone.
Oh, he's spent a long time.
I spent a long time in the lab working on my bass tone.
The friendships we've made along the way.
I mean, obviously, Bloodstock was still a massive one. I think will always be a massive one. That was, I think I played that competition in 2 separate bands, and then when we finally won, it was kind of like, did we actually win? I'm pulling my leg. So that will always be awesome to me. And I just think, all the work we put into this next EP as well has been really, dare I say, fulfilling. It's just great. I really love like recording and stuff like that. And working with Rick we have such a good time. And we just.
I'm the opposite. I hate it.
I love recording. I'm a little nerd.
I prefer playing live. So any gig is a gig to me, and I'd love getting in front of people and doing that.
That's probably your favourite thing then.
But like you said, I am very excited for the release of this EP, because I think, like you said, a lot has gone into it, so I'm excited to get the reaction of people when they listen to it, and obviously now when we listen to it before it's been released and just kind of chucking it on like on my own phone and listening to it, I'm like,
on the car.
God damn, we did that. That kind of thing. So
that's a good feeling. Did you have a tough time finishing it? Because there's in creating music or anything, you just tweak. Every time you just tweak a little bit. Just tweak that. Oh, we could do that a bit. Do that a bit better. Just tweak that. And it's sort of an ongoing process that seems to take forever.
Yeah.
But was it easy to stop?
No, 100%, especially for Rick.
Yeah,
missed
it's
the jinx
easier for
twice.
us. Yeah.
He recorded all the drums twice over because he did them once and he was like, no, I can do that again. And he did all of the tracks again. And because it's him recording it and he's, mixing, mastering, editing, he was always going back, tweak a little bit to send us a little demo. And we'd be like, you changed that? And he's like, oh, yeah, changed that bit. We're like, yes, that's great. Okay, we have to keep it now. So I think that's probably why it's taken longer than we anticipated, just because it was such a big sort of project. But yeah, little bits like that, us perfecting things. It was hard, but yeah, we got there in the end. You persevere. Yeah.
I think for us it's a bit easier because we kind of go in, record, and then that's it. That's us done. And then the weight's on Ricky. Then
he's stared at it for 8 hours.
Like in a production capacity, you're striving for perfection, but perfection doesn't exist. So you could just go forever. So, but I think he's cut it off at like a very high quality point, whereby it's diminishing returns at that point. You can't get much better.
You just go to sleep and you just see waveforms.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, stay out of the asylum and just call it there. Like, yeah.
You've just prompted a weird question. So I used to be on the radio. I used to do local radio, and one of the weird things that nobody really talks about in the real world is how you get weird nightmares. So, for example, I will have a bad dream about being in the studio and the equipment doesn't work, or I don't know how to use it, or some sort of disaster happens in the studio, like tech-wise. I can't speak, or anything. Do musicians get things like that?
I've certainly had dreams where I've gone on stage and something doesn't work, but then that's also happened in real life.
Well, yeah.
All the time, so. I'm
flashbacks to Mount of the Masses.
100%.
Almost took that amp off stage.
Oh.
I think for the rest of the gig, you played so well though through the aggression.
I was furious, but yeah, definitely have had that. Yeah.
I haven't had one, but my partner actually told me the other day she had a dream that she was playing bass for Sentient at our last gig.
Oh yeah, I forgot she said that.
and she was having loads of technical issues and was really stressed. And then they resolved all the technical issues, and then she was like, yeah, but I still don't know how to play bass guitar.
You did things like that. Yeah.
But I've not had one.
Probably will.
Yeah, probably.
Can I ask about stage, like crowd interaction? Do you? How far do you take it? But in terms of do you give them the mic to scream into, or do you get people up on stage, or do you go crowd surfing with your instruments, or?
So the first two, so in the song Gaslighter, that's got a big sing-alongy chorus, and I've been known to like hand the mic out briefly, ever so briefly, because I want it back, just so they can do the chorus bit. And then there was once where we played a Halloween show, and because we had a song called White Noise, and I found a beer called White Noise, like a little IPA thing by I think it was a brewery called the Yeasty Boys. So I was like, excellent, down it. So we got two people up on stage, and the idea was that when the song kicked in, we were going to get them to down the drinks, but these were like little 330ml cans. It wasn't that impressive, and like the song kind of kicked off, and they were just kind of stood there like, what did we go, and they started like downing them, and then they just stood there for like the rest of the song, and I was kind of just like, you can leave now. Like do a little dance or something. Like, you're up on stage, like make the most of it. So
Oh my god. So it's safe to say you won't be doing that again?
Well, no, probably, most likely not.
Probably not, unless you find another. Unless you find a drink or gaslighter.
Never say never. Like KB says.
This is sort of a bit of not so keen on doing antics on stage then anymore.
No, I think you do a little bit of like we do a little bit of you shout this bit, that sort of sing along bits, and I don't know, we might have a little in between you have a little jokey joke with the crowd. Maybe
Try to.
we might have a little laugh on stage, and they can hear it because the crowd's like a foot away.
Sure.
Yeah, nothing like. I don't think I would love to crowd surf with my instrument, but if I got dropped and I broke it, I'd be really sad. So, yeah, I'm feeling
Risk,
scared.
reward.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
not quite.
Yeah.
I know. I'm not that light. I don't really want to risk that.
If you do it, make sure it's been filmed. So, I know you've already really told me about your time in the studio, but any particular highlights of recording the EP or writing it?
Watching Tom do his solo on one of the songs was pretty cool. Got some proper like Dimebag style like shredding in there.
Yeah,
pretty awesome.
I've now got to make sure I can play it live, but that was.
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, that was pretty fun. I enjoyed that. And I think just every time Rick sent something over and he'd done like a new fill or something like that, I was like, "Oh, what are you doing? This is just getting outrageous, but great. It was so great."
Yeah.
What about you, Mr. Man?
As much as I'd like to kind of go into a big studio and do something like that, I really enjoyed the DIY-ness of it. I don't know. I still like the idea of it just being like the guys sitting in, like we are now, but like plugged in and like doing takes after takes. And like when I was doing my vocals, I think we'd done them all over the place. Like we would rent out a practice room and we just do them in there. But then we ended up in like Rick's work storage unit, just doing it in there. So it would just be me and him and a wall of toilet papers and stuff like that. And I don't know, yeah, just that's kind of a cool aspect, I think. Because I think sometimes, especially when you can pay all this money and go into a studio and it almost sounds too polished. I don't know, like it sounds like a really backwards thing to say, but just having that kind of raw element to it of doing it yourself and how it kind of comes out when it's sounding, I think is like fantastic.
I would also like to add in you smashing your bass parts as well, because yeah, that was great.
You thought he was going to say smashing his bass then?
I did for a second. I wondered where you were going with that. There's a delay on the line.
I do have a tapping section on one of the songs, and I did feel a bit like that. I was just like,
I thought I'd try this bit, and you did it, and I was like, that is staying in 100%. Like, that was wonderful. Actually, having someone smash their bass parts and just
not smash my bass. Then.
Not smash them. Yeah, guys, still no. Yeah.
It's really great to hear you talking about feeling like you've nailed your parts in the recording, and it's just it's I don't know. I take pleasure in hearing you talk about that sort of thing.
That's our opinion anyway.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm sure you did. Because it's your art at the end of the day, and you know whether you smashed it or not.
Well, when I was recording, what I really liked was that I was obviously working with two mates, which is great anyway, but with a really keen ear. So, like, if I were to mess something up slightly or fret something incorrectly, they'd pick up on that and hear it. And they'd go, "Oh, I think you messed this bit up." We'd play it back. And sure enough, there was a dead note in there or something. And like everyone is in like kind of like good natured and just wanting it to be as good as possible. And that was just like such an awesome environment to record in, where like sort of no one's being paid. We're all in the same boat and we're all just wanting it to be great.
Go check us out on the socials, Facebook and Instagram. Make sure you stay tuned for Long Live Sentient, our next EP, which is coming out on the 4th of April. Catch you next time.